Copic fans, Michelle Houghton here. Welcome back to Copic in the Craft Room. I am going to play with a butterfly today. Now, if you follow me regularly, you know that I am just starting kind of this new adventure of doing some digital art. And one of the first things I am doing, and this was for a person specifically, it's for Elena over at Violeta Inc. She does a butterfly specific kind of, she's exploring all 358 Copic colors. And every single week that has kind of these fun butterflies colored up with a combination using that one color. And then she explores using that one color, finding a natural blending group, finding colored pencils that match along with it, and all of this stuff. But she does kind of a more fanciful or more colored out butterfly that goes along with each of those. You don't see her color those, but it's part of advertising for those videos. And she does one every week. And so she asked me if I'd be interested in starting to draw the butterflies for her and then putting them out there as digital art. So I have started doing that, and hopefully as of the time that this video airs, you're going to see my first 12 butterflies, and this is 4 of them. And what I'm going to do is that they'll be kind of, you can buy any one of them individually as the digital piece, and you get the PNG and JPG files. So you can kind of manipulate them as you need to and layer them if you want. But then you will also be getting, on a lot of these, kind of a colored version from Elena. But I thought it'd be fun to do. Oh, and then, so each of those are $3. But if you want, then there's going to be these little groupings of kind of the first 4 that I created, the next 4, the next 4. And there's going to be a lot because she does one of these every week. And she'd like to have as many different ones as possible. So in the meantime, I am going to do some other different digital little images and put those in there as well. But I don't know if you've seen, I'm having a few stamp sets come out with Craft and Kimmy, and those are acrylic stamps. And then as I increase the number of online classes that I'm doing, all of those are coming with digital images from me that then as part of the class, you get to keep those and use them and copy them off as many times as you want, which I know is a huge benefit to taking an online class. Okay, so I figured it'd be fun though to color one of these up all together. That'd be fun to look at those. And so I'm having a hard time deciding which one. So I think I'm going to do this guy. And I also think it'd be really fun to do kind of a real range of colors. I'm definitely going to cut this out. It's huge. I don't know if you can tell that. I mean, here's my hand, and I've printed this off fairly big. I mean, this piece of paper is 5 inches, almost a little over 5, so 5 by 5. So this is not going to fit on a standard card front. I've actually specifically done this larger. And then I'm going to try a color combination that starts with Y13, but I'm thinking I want to go all the way to red. So I wanted to try and see if this group of 4 will get me there. And I'll tell you if it does, what they are, so you know what I'm going to do. But I always do a lot of this on the side of my images, especially when I know I'm going to cut them out. I might need, it's going to be a stretch. I think it's going to work though. This last piece is going to take a little extra work, but I like the stretch between the light and the dark. So I think what I'm actually going to do, I'm debating. I think I'm going to base think I'm going to base in the yellow, and then I'm going to work from dark to light. And I think I'm going to do a couple different things. I'm going to do this whole section of all these little pieces, this, and then the dots, I might do opposing, that these ones that are closer are going to get this brighter yellow, and it's going to go out to red on the tips. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to do this top section first. And in fact, forget this. Now, one of the things about working with a digital image, first of all, because this is a light color, you're going to see my ink from the other side of the page. So I apologize for that. I always use both sides of my paper. If I don't color on one side and I have all of these old images printed out on paper, I'm not going to waste that paper. But you guys end up seeing it when I do these videos, especially with lighter colors. So apologize for that. It's not my ink smearing, it's that underlying color coming through. Okay, so I've got it all wet, and I'm going to try going to my darkest, which is R46. I don't know, did I say that first one is Y13? How about this? After we do this little segment, I'm going to go back and write them down. How about that? I'll write them off to the corner. And I'm thinking, now I could do this whole section kind of starting here and working out, but I think it might be fun. I'm going to try it this way, to do these individual sections so we can see them all. YR07. So I'm going to start in the red and pull it out. And I might have to go all the way back in, but look how that's kind of blending that color. If I need to, I can really focus on that edge a little bit. I'm pulling that out. Leave lots of yellow still, or we're going to lose it. One of the really fun things about a digital image is it's so easy, just like stamping, that you can change the color if you wanted those lines to be gray. That's actually fairly easy to do. You're changing the opacity of the line. There's a lot of great tutorials out there about how to do that. To me, the other huge benefit of the digital is that you can change, you could flip it. You could mirror this guy and put two of them nose to nose. You can also Y38, starting on top of that YR18. And then you could also resize them. So you don't have to do the butterfly 5x5. You could do it 2x3 or 3x3. He's pretty square, this little one is. And what I figured out last night as I started printing them out is they definitely come in different shapes. Some are more square, some are longer rectangles, and that's just the nature of their shapes when I started coloring them. Now, this is the one that's going to take a little more work. So I'm definitely going to circle right along that edge. And for me, this helps really re-wet that portion and then flick back into there. And I do want to get all the way out, get that wet. And I can go back and forth a little bit. I can grab that Y38 again if I need to. The wetter that ink is, the easier this transition is going to happen, even with these more difficult fades. So doing that fairly quickly, kind of working through those while they're damp will help. And again, I could have done this kind of as one big section instead of doing these little individual sections. I just thought, I'm not looking for realism here. The butterflies are done with using photo references. So if you're wanting to be more realistic, you could come in and do more realistic coloring on these guys. That part I am leaving up to you. I'm thinking that one probably should have been the next. That's okay. Let's do this. Now, I'm definitely going to come back and fill in this piece around these. So you could think about that in two ways. Like going outside the lines right now is definitely no big deal because most likely what I come back with is going to be darker. But you can play around with that piece as well. And I think we have this little section. I'm going to have this stay darker. I am going to assume that on this inner portion, it may be slightly different. So I'm not going to go all the way to my yellow, right? Because that's the opposite side, the second set of wings. There we go. I'm going to do this same kind of red to yellow out here. So I'm going to start with my Y13 again. This did not. You can always, as things dry, you can see where things didn't blend as well as you want. I think on this one, I might try just going dark to light. I'm not sure if it helped or not. Let's try this. And then, except I need to fill this in first. There we go. Remember that your butterfly spins. So don't think you have to leave them sitting. So R29 again. Each section. Maybe let's do these three. I can handle those better. And maybe, ooh, let's do this. These aren't going to go all the way to yellow. Hatching a plan. I always like kind of coloring on the fly a little bit. I have a tentative plan. I have my colors. But it's kind of fun sometimes to adjust as you go. This is that Y38. There we go. Then I'm thinking maybe starting with the YR18, and I'm going to go these guys. It'll be a little bit different. It's not going to go from the kind of the bottom to the outer tip. I'll turn him right side up here in just a second so you guys can kind of see. And then this shifts because now we're back pointing out to that edge. So see what I did on this is that where it kind of comes along closer to the body, it gets darker. Y38. This is such an easy one into the next. These two definitely blend well together. And then that Y13 is going to be next. A little bit harder. But let's see. Because now I can just circle into that white area and push right into that Y38. That might, we'll see what happens as that dries this time, if that was a little more successful. Sometimes with these bigger jumps, so I could have done two things. Actually, there's a whole combination of things you could do. You could add another marker, add something between the Y13 and the Y38, because that's a big gap. A really easy one to add would be a Y32. Be probably a really good one, or a Y35. Either one would make a easier transition, or that's probably the easiest way to make that more simple. I had something else in my head and I've lost it. It'll come back. I'm really liking this though. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Same thing over here. I'm going to use some of these lighter yellows. Not being super careful, because I know I'm going to use a darker color. This one's not going to go all the way to red, but that's okay. Okay, then I have to figure out though what the rest of this butterfly is going to be. All right. The reason I started with the color I started with, which is the Y13, is that is going to be one of the featured markers, whether it's this week or coming up, or that Elena is showcasing. And so every once in a while, I'm making a point of doing a different color combination using the marker that she is talking about, just for fun. We're trying to do a little bit of overlap, supporting each other. These edges one more time. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Another way you could help these blend together is once you've re-wet this, you could come back with that Y35 or 38 while it's really wet like this, and just flick that onto there. So while one of these is super wet, come in and just flick really lightly back onto that yellow. And typically that just immediately kind of melts it. But you can do a little bit of back and forth, and while it's really saturated like that, sometimes that'll help. Just so you guys have a sense of this, the back is just coated with ink. This is a lot of ink to get that blend, especially at the end. Just so you know. And then I kind of want to do something a little funky. coming back. Okay, so I was thinking it might be kind of cool to do kind of a blue-green into a blue. Not sure if the saturation is going to be too different. These are BG 7s and then a B2 and a B1. So I wonder, I don't think that's gonna, I just feel like that BG7 is gonna be too far gone. Let's see, too much gray. I bet this will work better. Did you guys hear the geese outside my window? This might be too dark. It's kind of pretty though. I wonder if I can get, I could go darker that way. Okay, this is kind of cool. So now I've got, so we used for the yellows and reds, Y. You're not going to be able to see that. Or if you can, it's really, really faint. Y, 1, 3, Y, 3, 8, YR, 1, 8, R, I think it was YR. No, it wasn't. Oh my gosh, Michelle. 0, 7, 4, 6. See, I pulled up a whole set of new colors that I haven't used in a while, and now I'm not doing a very good job. Then we've got, that's the yellow grouping. Then from dark to light, we have BG 7, 8. Now I'm going to be cautious. BG 4, 9. BG 4, 5, and a B. B1, 6. I'll put the caps up, but I know, especially because of how big this guy is, it's going to be hard to see. So it's going to be kind of like this without the blue blip, like that. And I actually don't mind that as that's drying. I actually like that quite a bit. Huh. Might have to play with that on another day. So I'm going to start with my BG 7, 8 very sparingly. I am going to do the antenna. And I'm going to come in and add the blue, or the little bit of blue on top of that. But get those little kind of spherical pieces going. I'm going to do his body first and worry about all that crazy detail later. An easier way to have attacked all of this is to do the background color lighter and the spots darker, because then you wouldn't have to avoid them. And I'm not really thinking about where my light source is coming from. I'm truly just kind of creating this round, these round little pieces. So I'm not even, that is not a thought in my head at the moment. It's truly more about, I want to make these look like little spherical balls. That's my goal. And I feel like a lot of times butterflies, dragonflies have this little bit of an iridescent quality to them, and that is why I'm throwing this blue in the mix with these blue greens. I feel like it adds that quality to this. And that, working dark to light, I really think that was a successful group. So challenge is going to be this next part. So I'm going to take it in reasonable chunks. And I think the dark is actually going to fill a lot of this. It's going to come all the way out beyond the initial kind of grouping of color. This one is going to be fairly simple. Remember, if you're going to cut it out, you don't need to be super concerned about those outer edges. And I know this is not round, but again, the blue is that iridescent effect. So it doesn't necessarily need to be in the lightest area. It's more about adding kind of that glow. Oh yeah, in on that wing. Super fun. One wing at a time. Just take your time. Again, this, you could do both wings. I'm going to have trouble working around all of this stuff. And my eyes are not cooperating today very well. I probably should just go take my contacts out and go without. They'd do better. So this, if you can't see it, is my BG78. Kind of trying to hold the lid so you guys can see it, because I know this guy really fills my screenshot, and I am hoping I have managed to keep it in the shot most of the time. It's one of the main reasons as I videotape, I don't spin my images a lot. I know you guys hear me like a broken record. Make sure to spin your image. Make sure to spin your image. And I don't. And the main reason for that is I feel like when I start doing that a lot, I kind of fall outside. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can finish this guy before we lose the light too much. I know it's getting dark. Phone calls from Alaska, and you answer them. Bring this up and around just like the other one. luckily, these colors seem to be working pretty easily together. The challenge at this point is really more avoiding the dots. Just takes time. Got to work around them. And again, the easier route to take would be to be doing this section in a lighter color and then do the dots with a darker color. And if it was a color you could just go over the top of, so if this section was done in a yellow and you blend right over the dots, you just ignore them and then come back in with a darker color like a blue or a deep green and just then fill in the dots. That actually would be considerably easier than what I am currently doing. But I wanted that effect of the darker, which I think is a little more traditional on a butterfly. A lot of times this section would be almost black, and obviously I'm adjusting there. I'm doing something different, kind of this little bit iridescent blue-green. I debated when I made the digital images if I have a few of them that do get more filled in, that you have some black sections. I just hate to make that decision for you. You could come in and do some of that. You could make this more of a dark, solid color. You don't have to come in and shade this at all. You can make it much more solid, which would go considerably faster. But I like you having the option, and that was the goal, is that you as the artist could make that choice, that decision. Didn't blend quite as well. I think it's mostly because I'm dodging the dots and not getting quite as much ink. So I'm going to come back in one more time and hit those wet edges with my BG 45. There we go. There we go. Kind of fun. All right, one last section. I'm going to do this same series on. So starting with that BG78. Good grief. Really having a hard time seeing, guys. Sorry. Promise I will take my contacts out when I record my next video tomorrow. They do not want to give me enough here. I'm going to bring the dark out a little bit further on this one. Kind of around this first row and hugging up against the next. Coming back in with my first blue-green. Trying not to lose these itty bitty dots in the middle. Not my first blue-green, my first kind of mid-tone. BG49. Keep this guy a little bit darker. Then BG45. So I am going to still pull in that B16, but I'm going to put it right on top of some of that lighter BG45. There we go. And here is our butterfly. All right. Fistful of fun colors. Neat example of how you can really mix a whole range of colors, and obviously not realism here. I love how the body turned out. Not sure about how I like it with all the dots on the wings, but I love this and I love that. I think if I did it again, I might leave all those dots more of a solid color, and I might go back in and make those all in that yellow red range. If I have time, I will get him trimmed up and put onto a card. If not, thank you so much for joining me. And if you are interested in coloring any of these butterflies, they are on my blog at copic.weaver.com, as well as another online class, Copic 101, which is truly the beginner level of Copic coloring, giving you all the info on the markers, how to take care of them, how to really start well with them, the colored numbering system, how to blend, all that good stuff. So if you're new to Copic and interested, I have a brand new online Copic 101 over on my blog as well. I hope you all have a happy, colorful day, and I'll see you here again.